At precisely 11:43 yesterday morning, inside the walls of Kensington Palace, a war for Britain's soul was declared. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, made a demand. And the future King, Prince William, looked the elected leader of this nation in the eye and delivered a single, shattering word: no. The consequences of that refusal are now spiraling into the most dangerous constitutional crisis this country has faced in a century. A crisis deliberately engineered to break the crown and bring the monarchy to its knees. The mainstream media will call it a political row. They are lying. This is a calculated assault on the United Kingdom itself. The question is no longer if our institutions will be tested. The question is, will they survive? The official story is a lie. Downing Street claims this began 4 days ago with an urgent request for Prince William to publicly endorse Starmer's controversial housing bill, a bill that would grant the state unprecedented power to seize unused land, including vast swathes of the Crown estate. Starmer's letter, leaked by furious insiders, was not a request. It was a threat. The monarchy, he wrote, must demonstrate its commitment or face questions about its continued relevance. It was blackmail, disguised in the language of Whitehall. But Prince William refused to be bullied. His reply, delivered through his private secretary, was a masterclass in constitutional defiance. 23 words that detonated 300 years of political convention. The Prince of Wales respectfully declines to involve the Crown in active political advocacy, as such involvement would fundamentally undermine constitutional precedent and the monarchy's impartial position. It was the polite, formal language of total war. The response from Number 10 was anything but polite. Sources inside the building describe Starmer's reaction as volcanic. Witnesses saw him pacing his office at 2:17 p.m., his face crimson, his voice shaking with fury. He thinks he can simply say no to the elected government, one minister heard him shout. William forgets Parliament makes kings, not the other way around. Angela Rayner, present at the time, later told allies it was the angriest she had ever seen him. But it gets worse. 2 cabinet members claim Starmer slammed his fist on the desk and declared, if he wants to play constitutional games, I'll remind him who actually runs this country. The Crown exists at Parliament's pleasure, not the reverse. The room fell into a stunned silence. A junior minister later admitted, I've never heard a British Prime Minister speak about the royals with such open, naked contempt. Within hours, Starmer's operatives had leaked the story to their friends at The Guardian, a clear attempt to pressure the palace into submission. It was a catastrophic miscalculation. Because while this battle of elites rages in Westminster, the people Starmer claims to represent are being systematically abandoned. Meet John Patterson, a 71-year-old former Royal Marine Sergeant from Portsmouth. He served this country for 22 years. He survived 3 combat tours. Today, he lives in a damp tent under Waterloo Bridge, less than 2 miles from Parliament. His country gives him £89 a week. I fought for this flag, he said, his voice cracking. Now my country acts like I don't exist. And while men like John freeze on the cold pavement, the government he is supposed to serve has just approved for £0.2 million for a renovation of a parliamentary tea room. Heated marble floors. Italian leather seating. Chandeliers imported from Austria. The obscenity is breathtaking. The same housing bill Starmer wants William to endorse contains a clause, buried on page 287, that critics warn could cut veteran-specific housing support by over £300 million. The money, it appears, is to be redirected to what the bill calls priority demographic groups. Mary Phillips, a 64-year-old former army nurse from Leeds, waited 14 months for social housing while caring for her disabled grandson. Her video has been viewed nearly 2 million times. They told me I wasn't enough of a priority, she says. Her quiet dignity a burning indictment of the entire political class. This is the 2-tier Britain Starmer has built. One rule for the political elite, another for the people who built this nation. And he had the audacity to demand our future king endorse this moral bankruptcy. But then came the counterattack. At yesterday's Privy Council meeting, King Charles, in a move that stunned Westminster, broke a lifetime of protocol. He delivered the sharpest rebuke to a sitting Prime Minister in living memory. He declared that Prince William had acted with perfect constitutional correctness and that the Crown must and it will remain above the grubby world of politics. Insiders described the atmosphere as glacial. The king was calm, firm, and his message was unmistakable: William has my full support. You miscalculated. Back down. For Starmer, the political fallout is just beginning. But the economic damage is already here. Within hours of the clash becoming public, the pound sterling plunged 1.7% against the dollar. Global markets despise instability, and a government at war with its own head of state is the definition of chaos. Over £23 billion was wiped from the FTSE 100 in a single day of trading. Traders from Hong Kong to New York began using language normally reserved for collapsing third-world nations: sovereign risk. Goldman Sachs downgraded the UK's stability outlook. 3 major pension funds have frozen all new investment in British equities. The public backlash was even faster. #Defend William trended globally for 16 straight hours, but the real story was that 82% of the posts came from inside Britain. Protests, small at first, erupted in Manchester, Birmingham, and Leeds. In Newcastle, an estimated 12,000 people marched, chanting, "William stands for us." A YouGov poll released last night showed catastrophic numbers for Labour. Prince William's approval has soared to 81%. Starmer's has collapsed to 31%, a 14-point drop in 4 days. A staggering 76% of Britons say the Prime Minister was wrong to pressure the monarchy. Even 68% of his own voters disapprove. Inside number 10, the panic is palpable. Shouting matches echo down the corridors. Chancellor Rachel Reeves reportedly confronted Starmer in a cabinet meeting, telling him his strategy was reckless and unsustainable. Shadow Foreign Secretary David Lammy was overheard telling a colleague, "We're watching him destroy everything we built." WhatsApp groups with names like Save Labour and Post-Starmer Planning are buzzing with activity, plotting leadership challenges. The question is no longer if they move against him, but when. But the deepest betrayal was yet to be revealed. Leaked documents, allegedly from a top-level cabinet committee, outline a secret plan titled Operation Modern Monarch. 3 separate sources claim it is authentic. It is not a plan to refresh the monarchy. It is a blueprint to neuter it. The document allegedly proposes giving government veto power over royal public statements, forming a parliamentary committee to oversee palace finances, and requiring the monarch to seek government approval for major ceremonial roles. It is the most aggressive power grab against the crown since the English Civil War. And the most explosive detail? A senior civil servant claims it was drafted 3 months ago. Starmer didn't stumble into this crisis. He engineered it. He lit the fuse, believing the public would side with him against an outdated institution. He was disastrously, unforgivably wrong. And as Labour implodes, one man is reaping the rewards. Nigel Farage. While Starmer fights the king, Farage stands before a Union Jack, flanked by veterans, speaking calmly about patriotism and tradition. Some politicians attack British institutions, he said at a rally in Essex. Reform UK defends them. We stand with Prince William, with King Charles, and with the British people. It's simple. It's powerful. And it is working. Reform UK has launched a Defend Our Heritage tour, targeting 50 key constituencies. The latest Ipsos Mori poll has sent a shockwave through Westminster. For the first time in modern history, Reform UK is statistically tied with Labour. The numbers are seismic: Conservatives 33%, Labour 27%, Reform UK 26%. This is no longer a protest vote. This is a political earthquake. Farage is now a genuine contender, and every day Starmer continues his war on the crown, another 1,000 voters flock to Reform. The next 72 hours will be decisive. Parliament reconvenes for an emergency debate. A vote of no confidence has been called. At least 27 Labour MPs are threatening to abstain. If just 15 follow through, the government falls. King Charles is set to deliver his Commonwealth Day message, and palace insiders say it will contain a carefully worded but unmistakable defense of constitutional stability. The target will be obvious. This is no longer about politics. This is about our national identity. We are witnessing a Prime Minister self-destruct in real time, sacrificing his party, the economy, and national unity in a war he picked against an institution he cannot defeat, over a policy the public utterly rejects. History will remember this as a masterclass in arrogance and incompetence. So, has Keir Starmer committed political suicide by taking on the crown? Or is this just one part of a much larger, hidden plan to dismantle the Britain we know? Tell us what you think in the comments. We read every single one. If you refuse to stay silent while the political class tears our country apart, share this video. The mainstream media will not tell you the truth. But we will. Subscribe, and do not miss what happens next. The fight for Britain has begun.